Hi, good morning. My name is Janelle.
Hi, good morning. My name is Chanel. We chose to do our topic on child welfare against Indigenous people altogether. The reason why we chose this topic is because, as of today, it's still a big issue on how the culture, the language is just being wiped out in the indigenous community, and how it started from residential schools to the 60 scoop to now what is known as the millennium scoop.
So, this topic interests me because I am a mother of three girls, and although I have not had any interactions with the child welfare system, I can feel empathy for the families because my second language and culture is something that I would want to pass on to my children and want them to practice their culture and traditions to their children and families.
This topic interests me because I'm a mother also, and I couldn't imagine, my son being in the system, and my family was actually part of. My sister actually was part of the child welfare system taking her sons away, and I feel because she's black, she lives in poverty, and she has a mental health issue, that they don't take that into consideration. They just deem her incapable of taking care of her children like right away. So, like I said, the residential schools was the beginning from where they started where children started losing their language, losing their culture, because parents had to give up their children without any notice to the government.
So, another era between 1950 and 1980 were another massive times where children enter the child welfare system. I believe it's important to know that the parents of these children were survivors of the residential schools, and which made it easy for the child welfare system to recognize the issues that they were facing and to apprehend their children, which made it very difficult for the children because they were adopted into families that were not of indigenous culture and didn't practice any of the indigenous cultures and any of
Their language
or anything like that. So it definitely gave the indigenous people a culture shock, and that's pretty much what the 60 scoop is about.
Okay, and then as of today, what is known as the millennium scoop, this to me is playing such a big factor because it's just a repeat of what was happening many years ago. There's about more than 50% of children that are in child welfare that are indigenous children. And this is just a domino effect that's going to continue for many generations to come because these children are being affected in many ways.
So the systemic issue is that the government has played a tremendous part in getting rid of indigenous communities by approaching their children in order to get rid of them.
The one thing I think Canadians should know about this topic is that there was only one apology for the child welfare system, and that was with residential schools. There still hasn't been an apology from the government about the 60 scoops or what is going on today. They are trying to make some changes while placing children with indigenous communities, but it's still a big issue.
Yes, thank you so much for listening to our video about child welfare system within the indigenous communities.